Greetings everyone and welcome back. So I'm going to preface this little sermon with what this sermon is about. It's about the Wassenaar agreement, and it pertains to basically let's see here, a control type D&E, software used for development, production, and or use of these goods, and technology used typically for development, production, or use of these goods. So yeah, it's basically software and technology, and how it pertains to how these control types pertains to basically hacking tools, I guess. This sermon was from 2015, so it is like 15 years old now. So yeah, I think that it's basically not a problem anymore. It might be, but I have no idea. If you want to read up on it, I have left a link on the Wassenaar agreement, and other links from this sermon in the description below. So yeah, now to the sermon. Witches, warlocks, and Wassenaar, or on the internet no one knows you are a witch. A sermon by Pastor Manuel Laproig. First published in the journal Proof of Concept or Get the Fuck Out, Volume 0x08. Gather round, neighbors. Neighbors, I say, but perhaps I should have called you fellow witches, warlocks, arms dealers, and other purveyors of heretic computation. For our pursuits have been weighed, measured, and found wanting. For whatever it is these days that still allows people of skill to pursue that skill without mandatory oversight. Now, our carefree days of bewitching our neighbors' cattle and dairy products are drawing to a close. Our very conversion is a weapon, and must, for our own good, be exercised under the responsible control of our moral betters. And what is our witchcraft, the skill so dire, that these said betters have girt themselves to regulate our shady industry out of existence? Well, it's apparently our mystical and ominous ability to write programs that create modifications of standard execution paths of a program or process in order to allow the execution of externally provided instructions. We speak secret and terrible words, and these make our neighbors' software suddenly and unexpectedly lose their virtue. The evil we conjure congeals out of thin air. Never mind the neglect and feeble excuses that whatever causes the plague will not be burned with the witch. Come to think of it, rarely a suspected witch or warlock have had the case against them laid out in such crisp definition. Indeed, the days of spectral evidence are over and done. Now the accuser can be confident with an execution trace. The judgment may pass you over if you claim the sanctuary that your craft be limited to hypervisors, debuggers, reverse engineering tools, or, surprise, surprise, DRM. For these are what a good wizard is allowed to exercise. However, dare to deviate into proprietary research on the vulnerabilities and exploitation of computers and network-capable devices. And your goose is cooked, and so are your items that have or support rootkit or zero-day exploit capabilities. Heretics as we are, we turn our baleful and envious eyes towards the hallowed halls of science. Behold, here are people under a curious spell. They must talk of things that are not yet known to their multitudes. That which we call zero-day, or they will not be listened to by their peers. Indeed, what we call zero-day is what they call discovery, or simply a publication. It's weird how advancement among them is meant to be predicated on the number of these zero-day results they can discover and publish. And they are free to pursue this discovery for either public or private ends, after a few distinguished 0 days are published and noted. What a happy, idyllic picture! It might or might not be helped by the fact that these sovereigns who went after the weird people in robes tended to be surprised by other sovereigns who had the fancy to leave them alone, and to occasionally listen to their babbling. But, neighbors, this lesson took centuries. And anyway, do we have any goddamn robes? No. We only have those stupid balaclavas we put on when we do our kind of computing. And that doesn't count. But can't we adopt robes too? Or at least just publish everything we do right away? To seek the protection of the publish or perish magic that has been working so well for the people who use the same computers we do, but pay to present their papers at their conferences. Well, as long as we are able to ditch our proprietary tools and switch to those that mysteriously stopped compiling after their lead author had graduated. And what could go wrong? After all, it's merely engineering details that the private startups and independent researchers has ever provided the scientific discipline. And they could surely do it on graduate student salaries instead. But a reasonable voice would remind us, not all is lost. Our basic witchcraft is safe, for the devilish intrusion software. Our literal spells and covenants with the devil is not in fact to be controlled. We are free to exchange these as long as we mean to do good work with them and eventually share them with our betters or the public. It's only the means of generating new spells that must be watched. It's only the methods to develop the new knowledge that you will get in trouble for. Indeed, our precious programs are safe. It's only the programs to write these programs that will put you under the witch's hammer of scrutiny. We have been saved, neighbors. Or have we? I don't know, neighbors. Among the patron saints of our craft, we distinguish the one who invented the program that writes programs, and, incidentally, filed the first bug, if somewhat squished in the process, and the one whose stirring award speech was about exploiting such programs. So important and invisible in our trust they have become, so fast. We spend hours to automate tasks that would take minutes. We grow by making what was an arcane art of the few accessible to the many, through tools that make the unseen observable and then transparent. Of all the tool-making species, we might be the most devoted to our tools. tolerating no obscurity, and abhorrent, impenetrable abstraction layers left so for our own benefit. And yet it is this tool-making spirit that we must surrender to scrutiny and a regime of prior permission, or else. Is it merely a coincidence that inventor of the compiler is also credited with? It is much easier to apologize than it is to get permission. Apparently, there were times when this method would have worked. We'll have to see if it sways their would-be inquisitors into our craft of heretical computations. Thank you kindly, Pastor Manuel Laproig.